motivation. Well, thank you. First, I'd like to thank Heidi for inviting me. It is a pleasure to be here. I'll start with some good news and some other news. Good news is, I am really happy to be here. I like the city of Mora, Minnesota. I really like this audience because you're the movers and shakers to deal with the skills gap. You're the ones that'll take care of this thing. So I like the people that are here. The other news is, I get to be the last speaker after a long list of speakers who are gifted. And I got to follow Miles Seppet for God's sake. So that's a tough act to follow. I get to speak after everyone has a nice big lunch. And the only thing standing between you and a snowstorm and a drive home is me. So, brilliant placement for my speaking presentation. Lastly, I'm wearing a Jerry Garcia tie. I like Jerry Garcia. For all you young people, he's the lead singer from the Grateful Dead. And he's my favorite philosopher. Jerry Garcia says, somebody has got to do something about this. And it's just incredibly pathetic that it has to be us. What I said about the people in this room is correct. You're the ones that are going to deal with the skills gap. You're the ones that are going to fix the problem. It's us. It's up to us to do this, not to wait for somebody else to do this. And so if you're looking for a solution to the challenges we face, look across the table. It's staring right at you. So I wanted to kind of give you some provocative things to think about. And so my focus on this is technology and careers. And it's happening all around us. We just don't always see it. But it's a big deal. This is as big a change, as tectonic a change, as disruptive a change to all of us as the Industrial Revolution was. And if we don't figure this out, we're going to be in tough shape as a society. Whoops. Here's the whimsical look. The economy is steaming forward, and the workers have a good shot at this if they have education, but if they're not, they're just treading water. No, I bring my own, but it's out in my car. You already saw this one. Forget terrorism, weapons of mass destruction. The next global war we fought over human talent, and America's already losing. I guess we'll just go. Here's the challenge. 20 million jobs requiring post-secondary education will go unfilled in the next decade. What a waste. 65% of today's students will move into careers that haven't been created yet. We all need to be limber and nimble to adjust to all this kind of thing. Technology is changing all the rules. The Bank of England did a study, and they said in the next 10 to 15 years, 47% of jobs in the US are likely to be replaced by technology. Look at that slide. And by the way, this isn't the only study that I've seen that has similar numbers. What if that's wrong by a factor of 2? That means that 1 in 4 jobs are going to be replaced by technology. How huge of an impact does that have on all of us? So this is coming. The storm is coming. It's a big deal. And be prepared or suffer the consequences. And that's what it looks like. Wisconsin used to have mountains the size of the Alps that looked like the Alps. And then a big old glacier came through and it obliterated those mountains. Well, technology is obliterating those old jobs. Rest in peace. They're gone. They're never coming back. But in the outwash are the new jobs. In the fertile soil that follows are the new and better and higher paying jobs, if you're prepared. And so, to put that in some perspective, for centuries, for eons, for thousands of years, mankind's source of power and transportation was the horse. In a single generation, technology wiped out the horse. In 25 years, it went from being our primary means of locomotion and power to being obsolete. Trains, planes, and automobiles, right? 25 years is all it took to wipe it out. The best quote I've seen about that is, technology didn't make the horse unemployed, it made the horse unemployable. And we have people in our society that face the risk of not just being unemployed, but of being unemployable. That's a big deal. And again, you're the hope for us to change all of this. Well, here's what it looks like. These are endangered species. We kind of don't understand, because it's not like the passenger pigeon, the last one is gone. There's still some left, but just not as many. How many cashiers do we need anymore? Even Walmart, who never had enough cashiers, has even less now because they've got the self-checkout. I usually do self-checkout myself. Fast food worker. For the life of me, why does McDonald's have a human face? Why can't all that cooking be done by robotics? Why don't we all order on kiosks, which are coming? Why don't we order from our cell phone? Why is it necessary to see a person's face at McDonald's? I don't know. You may not in the future. Bank tellers. The other day I asked my wife, when's the last time you were in a bank? She said, I don't know, it's been years. There still are some, but do we need as many as we used to? No. Are these endangered species? Absolutely. Coal miner. You know, regulation didn't kill coal mining. Technology did. Because it's cheaper to use renewable energy. It's cheaper to use the natural gas we get for free from fracking. Technology is what made coal miners obsolete, and it's ridiculous to think those jobs are coming back. They are not. Truck drivers. There's a shortage of truck drivers. There are 1.4 million truck drivers. How can that be an endangered species? In 5 to 10 years, you're going to see convoys of self-driving trucks going on the freeway. There may be a driver in the front truck, but all the rest of them are going to be drones going down the road. Guarantee you that's going to happen. What happens to all those folks? What jobs will they do after that? Read an article in the Washington Post, and that's what the headline was. By the year 2050, the unemployment rate for prime working age males is going to be between 25 and 30%. Wow. That sounds like hyperbole to me. The article was written by Larry Summers, former Secretary of Commerce for President Obama. And when you look at this graph, I'm going, oh my God, it's already happening. This graph goes back to 1970. So it's not just a few years kind of interpolated, it's almost 50 years worth of data, and the line is straight as an arrow. And if you follow it out, by 2050, the unemployment rate for these males will be 25%. Take out the truck drivers and the self-driving trucks and the rapid change of pace with technology, it will be 30%. And the reason for that is that these folks aren't getting the skills. They're not up-tooling. They're not upskilling like they need to. Because they're looking at jobs, I'll just do work where my old man worked and my old man before him worked, right? The ladies got this figured out. They're going to school. They're getting the education. And guess what else the ladies aren't doing? They're not marrying these guys. Sounds funny, but it's true, because they no longer rely on them for financial security. So these guys not only are jobless, they're mateless. And that is what an opioid crisis looks like. That's not funny. That's what an opioid crisis looks like. These are desperate people and see no hope because they don't know the way out. And if we don't get this figured out, they're going to come after us with pitchforks and torches. Because they're desperate people that think somebody's doing something to them, they don't know what. They just feel wronged and not happy. And they're looking for the next fix. And that's it. Hard work is no longer enough to survive. You can't get by with that. That's not enough for us to hire you and pay wages. Prepare for it or get rolled. There's not a choice. And again, I'm trying to be provocative here, but I'm trying to stimulate some thought to say, don't be passive about this. Things are changing fast. There's a slide that I don't have in here that shows that businesses themselves are facing the same thing. Dell Computers said, I think 75% of the businesses don't know what they're going to look like in 3 years, and 25% aren't sure they're still going to be in business in their field. So the future's now. The future's coming, and we have these future jobs that are amazing. I'll just put some of those out so you can kind of see what they look like. And I knew what most of those were, but you see the one on the top left where it says professional triber? Anybody know what that is? I didn't know either until I looked it up. And I realized I'd actually seen it 30 years ago. Professional triber is because we have all these skill sets and all these talented people. You put them together for a short project, and then they disband and you start a new project someplace. And there was a medical device manufacturer in the cities, great company, and their product life cycle back then was 6 months. From product launch to obsolescence, 6 months. I go, holy smokes, how do you put together efficient manufacturing? They said, we don't, we just make it. I said, how do you deal with scrap and getting quality up? They said, we do 100% inspection, we have 50% scrap. Their product was plastic, it didn't cost a lot of money, so to throw it in the trash barrel wasn't a big deal. But 6 months, the team would form, they'd make this new product, and they'd disband, and they'd start a new product. Professional tribers. Okay. There's never been a time of greater promise or greater peril. We cannot wait until there are massive dislocations in our society to prepare for the fourth industrial revolution. Those of us in advanced manufacturing are scrambling, running as fast as we can to stay ahead of this. It makes us more efficient. It means we can export to China and Japan and all over the world because we have smart people and smart machines, but we scramble, and you'll lead, follower, get out of the way. And here it is. I took some poetic license in abject plagiarism with Charles Dickens. And here's where we stand. This is what America looks like today. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of innovation. It was the age of layoffs. It was the epoch of technology. It was the epoch of obsolescence. It was the season of knowledge. It was the season of ignorance. It was the spring of opportunity. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all chasing the future. We were all yearning for the past. That's America. That's your backyard. That's rural communities. And so we get on the right side of this and we have awesome lives. We get on the wrong side of this and we have despair. And so I just want to kind of hit you over the head with that to say, let's help people understand that. Let's help people see the opportunity and not focus on the despair, but let's give them the tools to get there. So here's the tools. 2 things. Believe in others. Not everybody comes from a great spot, right? History is not destiny. Your background need not define you. I'll use myself as an example. I've had an awesome life. I have a charmed life. It's amazing. Both of my sets of my grandparents were first-generation immigrants. Came to America from foreign countries. My father grew up in a log cabin with a dirt floor. When he was an 8th grader, his father died. He dropped out of school in 8th grade to work the family farm with horses at the time and to take care of all of what it takes to keep the family together so his 5 brothers and sisters could all graduate from high school. Pretty cool. When I grew up, I drove a tractor when I was 8 years old. I ran a chainsaw about that big when I was 12 years old. I worked for people around the cabins for 50 cents an hour. And when my parents got married in 1942, one of their wedding gifts was a bucket and a dipper, right? Was my trajectory set for where my career was going to be? Pretty sure it was. Was I likely to have not great jobs and not much income in my life? Pretty sure it was. It was going to be that way. Except that others believed in me. My parents believed in me. My neighbors believed in me. My educators believed in me. Everyone around us in the community saw things in me I didn't see in myself. They committed themselves. They helped me along the way. Believe in others. And others and folks in those situations rely on the kindness of strangers. Strangers like yourself, strangers to them. So I was on Pine Tech's charter board when they wanted to start a foundation to raise some extra money to help students, to help staff, just get extra money to make things go well, right? And it was a good thing. It was by the way, if you ever get asked to start a charter committee to start a foundation, my first advice would be run. My second advice would be to just say it's the most fulfilling thing you'll ever do. But it's hard. It's hard work to start from nothing and raise money. But we did it. And they would have a donor recognition night where they bring the donors together to say thanks. They didn't ask them for anything, just said thanks for donating, thanks for helping others, we appreciate you. And then they would use their secret weapon. They'd bring in students. They'd bring in benefactors and say, thank you, here's how you helped me. That wasn't supposed to happen. So we would sit there bawling like babies because of these stories. So these students would be telling us their stories and how this helped them. They'd say, I cannot fail you because you showed me kindness. I cannot let my family down. They would frame their scholarship letter. Got to get up that slide. So here's my second piece of advice. Believe in yourself. You are superheroes. You are superheroes. You change people's lives. So they tell you in public speaking, if you're nervous, which I am, imagine the audience in their underwear. So I look out here, and what I see are capes and tights. I see superheroes. A couple of you are pulling on your pants leg now, or hide those tights and fixing your collars because there are capes and tights under there. Your superpower is that you change people's lives. And I know for a fact that you've saved some family from having the house foreclosed upon. I know that you have helped a couple avoid a divorce because of financial stresses. I know that you helped a single parent have the confidence to go back to school and get the skills they need to raise their family. I know that you've changed a young person who might have contemplated suicide because all they felt was despair and felt invisible because you cared. You've done all of that. So, what you can do, this is my favorite quote, John Wooden, coach of UCLA. You cannot live a perfect day without doing something for someone who will never be able to repay you. That's a good enough quote to say twice. You cannot live a perfect day without doing something for someone who will never be able to repay you. I hope all of you have many, many perfect days. And my last quote, my last word is this. This is the beginning of a new day. You have been given this day to use as you will. You can waste it or use it for good. What you do today is important because you are exchanging a day of your life for it. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever. In its place will be something you've left behind. Let it be something good. Go out and do good things. Thank you.